Hi everyone. In today's video, we're going to talk about the user experience. So when we talk about the user experience, we're talking about the end user of the applications or workflows that you build. This can be a client, this could be a paralegal, this could be another lawyer. It depends on who you are building the applications for. So in this particular case, we're going to go over the different types of user roles you can assign when you have an admin account, and what the back end of each of those looks like. So when you have an admin account, which looks like this with Gavel, you get your own subdomain. Mine is cormeum.gavel.io. And what that means is that allows you to assign user roles to other people on your users tab here. Under your users management tab, you're able to assign people as builders, organizational users, or other admins. If you click into your user management section here, you'll see that you can search for somebody's name or their email address, and you can see their first name, their last name. You can also edit this information if you'd like, and you can see their email and edit that if you'd like, and you can see their role. So you can see that you can change their role to admin, builder, organizational user, or user. You can also make them active or inactive, and you can add a user like this, where you put in their first name, their last name, their email address, and which role you'd like to assign them, and you say add user. When you say add user, they are sent an email that invites them to create an account and create a password on your subdomain. So depending on which role you've assigned them, they'll be able to see a different view. Let's say you've assigned them to be a builder. If you've assigned them to be a builder in your invitation, then they are going to see a screen like this. Now, somebody could make an account on your subdomain and you upgrade them later, but it's a really good work or experience for the end user if you send them the invitation. So let's say you send them the invitation to be a builder. So a builder is someone who can create new workflows and also access a data manager like this. So they're able to see these different types of workflows. So we can also see the same types of things here, like files, document templates, CSV files, images, as you would in your admin account here. They're able to see the CSV files that are uploaded for the domain. So that means that I didn't upload this one here in this builder account. I've actually uploaded this file here in the admin account, but this builder is able to access that as well and utilize that in the different workflows that they're building along with us. So we see some similar features with what I mentioned, the data manager, the files, also integrations. So we also are able to see the integrations. However, there is only one master integration account. So that is going to be here. So that's where you're going to connect on from your admin account, the integrations for Stripe and Clio. So that makes it to where your builders on your subdomain are able to utilize that same information for the workflows and applications that they build. Now you'll see one difference here is that builders don't have a users tab because users are a management type of function. So an admin account would have a users tab, whereas a builder account would not. So they're not able to invite new users and so on. But you are able to assign more than one admin depending on what plan you have. Under settings, you'll see some differences as well. So here you'll see that you're able to create API keys as a builder, but on the sort of admin side, you can create API keys. You can also update the system settings. So you can give your organization a name, a support email address. You can change the language for all of your global settings, your time zone, your currency that you're going to be using, and you can add logos that will go here and in your favicon here. You can also go to your billing portal from here, which will make it to where you can update your, the charges that you make and the account that you have for your Gavel account. One of the main benefits of having other builders on your account is that you don't have to share your password with anyone to have them build with you. What you can do instead is send a copy to a builder. So if you say send copy to builders, it looks like this, and you'll be able to select from the people who are chosen or given the role of builder on your account. And that allows you to send this copy of this particular workflow to them to work on. So they log into their own accounts and they can edit the ones that they've been sent, and then they can send it back when it's done to the person who sent it to them. Same thing here, the same process. So that's a really powerful way of having some collaboration within your teams who are working with the same kinds of workflows, but they need to work at it at different stages, for example. So we also have the ability as a builder to assign workflows to other people, duplicate workflows, copy workflow links, and all the other kind of buttons that you would see here in an admin dashboard. So this is an admin. This is a builder. Then we look at the users. So when we talk about users, as I mentioned, this can be whoever is the end user of the particular workflow. They're not necessarily on this side of the team that is building the particular application. So the main difference here, as you can see, or the main differences are that you're going to see that they don't have the ability to create workflows. So they don't have the little button here that says new workflow. So they aren't able to interact with creating workflows, but they are able to interact with taking the workflows and then seeing the data stored in the data manager like this. So in this particular case, this particular account hasn't run through any sessions yet, but I can show you what that looks like. So here we have that difference between the people who are building the particular workflows that we're talking about and the people who are using, or end users who are using the applications and workflows that you build. So there are two different types of user accounts. So we have this organizational user, and then we have this regular sort of default user. So the difference between here, as you can see, is that one has a data manager and one does not. Both are able to look at their answers from past sessions, but it's how they're able to interact with that information. As a regular user, you have the ability to open up your session like this from where you left off. If we go back, you're able to continue, for example, like this. And you're also able to view your answers. You can see what you wrote, and you can see when it was created and when it was updated. You can also go into your account and change your first name and your last name, and you can change your password and set up second two-factor authentication. So if we go back to this front part here, we'll see that we're able to get this when the person is signed into their account and taking the workflow. So that's why it can be beneficial from a builder's side to consider whether you want something to have the header on the top that says sign in or not. In this particular example, I don't have a header, so it would be hard for someone to be able to log in to this particular one. However, there is a workaround for this, which is that you would go to your settings, go to your access permissions, say only logged in users. And now when you share the link, they'll be prompted to sign in before they're able to access that particular workflow. So even if you don't have a header, you are still able to have this functionality. It's just whether it's easy for the end user to navigate through this particular application with or without a header, because the header allows somebody to sign in from here. Maybe I can show you an example really quick like this. So let's say this one. So here you see this different header at the top. So somebody's able to navigate to their workflows taken and go into their account and their dashboard when they sign in. So that's kind of a difference between these two headers here. So now if we go back and talk a little bit more about this big difference between the organizational versus the regular user is this around this idea of the data manager. When we talk about the data manager, what we're talking about is the ability to interact with data entered. So as you can see here, we have this, data persistence, and that we have the ability to view past sessions. But there's not much more they can do to interact with this information. For organizational users, they're able to do bulk actions and look in filters as we're able to interact with these types of information with our admin accounts, for example. So let's say we go into this testing environment workflow, for example. We can open the session, copy the continuation link, download the documents, see who the user was, who was signed in at the time, when it was created and when it was updated, and any of the other information there. We can also push this information into another workflow like this. And this is just a test anyway, so there's not much more interesting things happening in this particular one. But we can see that we're able to push different information into different types of workflows from one base one if we wanted to, for example. So I think it might be useful to quickly go through an example. So I'm going to use this example from a past build that was just kind of for fun and to show how to use different types of logic and output documents, which is this E equals MC squared one. I think this will be useful because it has an output document here that we can kind of play with, and it's quite short. So we can kind of go through this quickly. So essentially in this one, the person will answer whether M is in the first position, in the second position, or in the third position. And when they continue, they have an output document that will show or hide certain information depending on the answers. So it will say, that when M is in the first position, then the options are these. If the characters are these and this is in the first position, then it's this or this. If the characters are in the second position and the third position, then it's this and this. So in that particular example, let's go ahead and we're going to grab the link for this particular workflow in this E equals MC squared. I'm going to have my person here, this organizational user, to take this workflow as they're signed in to their account so that we can see what happens when they take this. So we can see that they're signed in with our dashboard here, our header, and we can just answer whatever we'd like. Let's say yes, yes, and yes. They get their output document here that they can also email to themselves if they'd like to, and they can automatically see this output document. What we'll also get to see after this is done loading here is that we'll be able to see that they've taken this workflow here in our dashboard from the organizational user's perspective. So what they can do here is they can click on this here and be taken back to where they were. So if they were kind of halfway through and they wanted to restart, you can see that when it was created, when it was updated, they can continue like we mentioned here, either here or here. They can view their answers, true, 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 or false, 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 or true, false, and true, false. And then they can go into their data manager by workflow. So if we go into this now, just needed a quick refresh. So you can see that we have this workflow that they've taken now. And they can see that we have one session. So we have this one session. The user is this person. They can download their documents that were produced at the end. So let's go ahead and just do a quick grab of this one here. So we can see the output document here as a docx, and we can also see it as a PDF. So that's pretty handy so that user can access their documents whenever they'd like. And then we can open the session. We can copy that continuation link. We can download as we showed you, and we can also see our answers like this. We can also see the answers like this. It just depends on how that person wants to interact with their data. So that's a good example of what the organizational user sees when they take a workflow that you've sent them and they're signed into their accounts. So now let's go through the user experience when they don't have an organizational user account. So if we take that same link, the equals MC squared link, and now we give it to this user, they're going to see the same information. They're going to see their name here now that they're signed in. We can give some answers here. Say continue. So note before they only had these two entries. So now they're going to see this third entry here. So we have their document like this that they can interact with right away. And then we also have the ability to see the answers from the dashboard. So let's just give this a second to catch up. So we see this here. And then we can continue this workflow as we saw here, or by clicking here, or they can view their answers like this, true, false, false. So I hope that's been helpful to see the differences between the end user experience of someone who has an organizational account like this versus a typical user or default user account versus an admin account versus a builder account where someone can actually create workflows. So if that's been useful, I'm really glad. And you can let me know if you have any questions by reaching out to me at Brittany@cormam.pro.